Hi everyone, welcome to the Open Channel in Gothenburg. My name is Lars Weber from ABF Media Lab, and today we have an international guest, Martin Jansen from Workers World Media Production in South Africa. Welcome, Mats. Nice to have you here in Sweden.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little about your organization?
Yes. We are a non-profit labor service organization which is owned and controlled by the, you could say, the labor movement, but we are also independent from the labor movement. We specialize in producing and broadcasting media, but media that focuses on issues of poor people, working class people, and of course trade unions and what trade unions are doing. We started out in 1999 after it became clear in South Africa that the new dispensation, the new democracy, wasn't working very favorably towards poor and working class people. Already they had been oppressed and exploited under the apartheid era for over a century, and in 1996 the new democratic government under the ANC adopted certain policies, economic policies, which we refer to as neoliberal economic policies, which started attacking trade unions and working people and poor people generally. So socioeconomically, many of our people faced serious problems, and at the same time we found that the unions, especially the biggest federation, COSATU, was working too closely with government, and many of them got into government positions, many of them got into high positions in companies and left the trade union movement. So the unions and civil society organizations were severely weakened in the new democracy, which is a bit of an irony because we were very strong in fighting apartheid. Now with democracy we're very weak. Even though we need organizations now more than ever before because of the deteriorating socio-economic conditions of the majority of people. So for example, South Africa now is the most unequal society in the world. We're even worse than Brazil at the moment. And South Africa is not exactly a poor country in terms of GDP and the average income, but the inequality is huge, and I would say nearly 70% of our people, especially black people, live in poverty. So the role we play is to assist people in empowering themselves through organizing, helping them to get organized at grassroots level, but also to provide media platforms and support so they can produce their own media to express themselves and to take up their own issues. We also do what we call mass education, where we do education and training for shop stewards and ordinary people and activists at grassroots level.
Yeah, that's really great. In Sweden we have a lot of adult education, and people are now interested in community media and community reporting and I also see some similar to Empower. And but can you tell us more about the tools you have or methods that people can change and become more equal?
What we started off with is what we call traditional media. Radio. Radio is still the most popular medium in South Africa. Most people can access radio very easily. It's quite cheap. Then we also produce in television, and recently we also started a community newspaper which is produced, all of those are produced by communities themselves. So the radio shows, we coordinate 40 labor radio shows, and it broadcasts once a week for 1 hour in 40 communities. And in those communities we train a few people to produce and to do presenting of radio. We then, as the organization, we produce short documentaries on the topic. Each topic there's a different topic each week on relevant issues, whether it's working class people and public transport, or how the labor laws affect workers, or government's economic policy, or issues around discrimination like xenophobia. Anything relevant to working class people we produce. And we do it in 5 languages, which are the most spoken languages in South Africa. And we put it on a CD every week, and we send it out by courier to the radio stations. That starts off the show, and then they have a live discussion for the full hour. That's our main program. 5 years ago, we also started a Labour TV show. So once a week on Cape Town TV, which is a community channel that broadcasts all over South Africa, both through conventional, traditional terrestrial means, but also through satellite TV. You know, anyone can tune into Cape Town TV all over the country. So once a week we have a Labour show for 1 hour on different topics, of course. Then last year we started the community newspaper, and we're operating that in 5 communities in different provinces. And there we train young people to be journalists, and they then write for the newspaper. And we raise funds and we pay them for their work as well. So that's quite an exciting new project. But the big problem we have with all of our work is that the cost. It's very expensive in South Africa, especially the newspaper printing, and we have to pay broadcasting fees. Community media, non-profit media doesn't get any government support or subsidies in South Africa, which is a big problem, because many of them then become commercialized, which then defeats the purpose of having community media or alternative media. And that's a big problem for us. So part of the reason why I'm in Sweden is to get support for our work, and to do some fundraising and to develop partnerships with similar organizations in Sweden.
Do you also have a problem with journalism, the death of the journalism? What's the word in English?
Yeah, we do. Well, the mainstream media has become even more commercialized. So what has happened is that they've tried to cut costs. And one of the ways of cutting costs is to employ mainly junior reporters. And they don't do lots of what we call investigative journalism and decent journalism. So the quality of reporting and journalism in all the media in South Africa has declined.
Yes.
There are, of course, 1 or 2 newspapers which still stand out and do good journalism. But by and large, it's not as good as it might have been before. And we get a lot of what we call dumbing down, where the quality of the content of the media is not challenging to people, it's not intellectually engaging or inspiring. It's very light-hearted entertainment mainly, and sensationalist, of course. We've had the rise of tabloids in the past 10 years in South Africa, which are very popular, but they focus on scandals and violence and so on. Nothing that's really uplifting to our community.
I think in Sweden there is a debate about that we have no public access that are over the land, and if we could have some like public service or access for the European Union, or like the UN could have some public service for all the world. What do you think about ideas
I think
like that?
That's an excellent idea. It's something that we would also like to do in South Africa, because community channels are confined to their communities, even though we are on a digital satellite channel, which is a commercial channel, which is very helpful. But strictly by law, community media is confined to local areas. And you're right, I think we need to have national platforms, so communities can share their experiences and knowledge and information. And even international channels we need, which are community grassroots orientated. I think it's absolutely necessary.
And I think we finished this interview, but I heard that you looking for partners.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that?
As I said, I'm representing Cape Town TV and Workers World Media Productions. For Cape Town TV, we're hoping to engage with community channels there, as well as Swedish Broadcasting, your public broadcaster, and at least have an exchange of programming, because people all over the world have the same issues or similar issues, and we can learn from each other's experiences. I watched 2 Swedish channels last night and I was very impressed with the programming. I wish we could have such good quality programs in South Africa. So that's the one, and then as I said, for community TV as well, to have a partnership. And then also other organizations like us who do community media, not just television. And we also do what we call mass education. We train shop stewards, we coordinate study circles. We do lots of trade union education, because the unions, unfortunately, in South Africa, very few of them are doing education. So workers and shop stewards are getting weaker and weaker and almost defenseless against the problems that they face. So we want to partner with similar organizations, and hopefully they can assist us to sustain our work in South Africa, because we are a non-profit organization and we rely on partners in the north who have more resources, who can support us, but more importantly, to have a genuine partnership.
Yeah, that's great.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to see you again.
Thank you very much, Lars.